Hello, this is teddygaming and welcome back to another review on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TMNT, the RW ongoing series, the Armageddon game, issue number 6. And this issue was really interesting for certain aspects, and also some aspects I would say were a bit of a letdown, just because I feel as though the majority of this stuff was really interesting and was really great. But on the other hand, there was a lot of stuff in this issue that I would say needed a few more pages to be really amazing. Not to mention there was a bit more setup, so you know, that was about as good as every other setup in this little story arc so far. So yeah. Okay, so we first start off with Sherelle recapping the events that happened in issue 137, and it's pretty interesting, I would say. I must admit, it's really great to see basically the same events happen but in different art style. I must admit, I did really enjoy that and did think it was like really somewhat creative but really enjoyable at the same time. So here we do find out that Sherelle wants to go full force with his alien invasion and wants to send all the Utroms and Triceratons down to Mutant Town and basically destroy everything just to find Regenerative Cersei. Now, one of the Triceratons does bring up a really interesting thing about about the humans and stuff like that, and also the mutants, but Sherelle basically says they're all collateral damage, and I gotta admit, I do respect that for some reason. And then there's not really too much I can really say here, but Sherelle does also say that they want to get rid of Krang, and that's more or less it for this little bit here. I wish I could say a lot more, but sadly there's not too much I can really say, but overall this little bit here was decent, I'd say. In the next bit we do get to see Rat King, Mad and Noel, as well as Baxter's document all talking together and seeing what they should do next to basically stop the invasion and stuff like that and go ahead with their plan. Now, just like with the first bit, I can't really say too much here, but Rat King basically tells Mad and Noel and Baxter's document to do what you have to do, and that's basically Mad and Noel can do like you know, collect mutants, sell them onto the black market. Baxter's document can use this as an opportunity to go and be more of a mayor and basically promote himself and be a better mayor and all that. So again, there's not really too much I can really say here. This bit was pretty okay, and I'll say that really set up for the next parts in this series. It was okay, I would say. I'll say that with the amount of setup they've really done so far, it sort of feels a bit pointless in a way. But I do have to feel that with all the stuff which I had set up so far, I feel as though that this maybe been a bit too much with having even more setup for even more story arcs and stuff like that. But other than that, it was okay. So after that, we do get to see the Turtles go out onto the streets and help the EPF go fight the Utroms and Triceratons. Now, I must admit, with this bit, I do think it was a really interesting scene. And I must admit, I do think there's some really cool images here, like ones with the Turtles all like holding onto their weapons, very reminiscent of the 87 TV show theme song. Really did enjoy that. And there were some other really great images here, which I must admit, I do think were really great. Now, the one thing which I do have to say here with the EPS stuff with the Turtles is that I feel as though that there could have been a lot more here. Now, the reason why I say that is just because with the first interaction the Turtles had with the EPF, and more or less the only interaction they've ever had with them, is the fact that they've been in that war with each other. So now that they're helping each other, I feel as though this could be a really interesting thing to explore a lot more. Just because I think it could have been interesting to see how the Turtles would react with the EPF and knowing what they'd done to mutants and stuff like that, and so forth, or like vice versa. I do think it would have been interesting to see how they would have reacted knowing that they are working with each other, but I guess we didn't get that, and it's somewhat disappointing, and I do hope they do somewhat go back to that maybe in another issue, but I feel as though there could have been something there. But meanwhile on the streets, we do have old Tob, Herman, and Ray going around Mutant Town, basically taking on some of the Utroms and Triceratons and stuff like that. Herman releases some more missiles and stuff like that because he's really angry, and that's when we get revealed that Man Ray has actually got a whole secret base for this type of occasion. And I was quite surprised by that, and well, I somewhat am surprised by that, but at the same time I'm not really. The reason why I'm not too surprised by it is just because, you know, it's Herman, so what can you really expect from him? But at the same time, I don't really know where he would have got all this armor from and all that, but it's still pretty decent, I would say. And I must admit, this is also another bit where they do set up stuff for another issue, where Hobbs says they're going to go blow up a wall, which, you know, is okay and all, but I do feel as though this is, again, more set up for other stuff like that, which is cool and all, and I know that this stuff does translate into issue 138 in the beginning bit, so I can't complain all too much just because I know that this is going directly straight into the next bit and won't be dragged out for another couple of issues. But at the same time, it's just again still more set up and stuff like that. But overall, this little bit here was pretty decent. So then we do get to probably the most interesting part about the issue, and it is the fact that we do get to see the Turtles versus the fake Turtles. And I do think this is probably one of the best parts about this issue, probably one of the best parts about this whole event. Just because for months now we've been sort of like wondering who these fake imposter turtles are, and now we know who they are. It's been really interesting to see like when we're going to be seeing the interaction between these turtles and real turtles. And I know we did get sort of like a little interaction between Raph and the turtles before, and they did have a little fight, but I wouldn't really say that was the fight. And I'll say that this was the fight with the turtles versus the fake turtles, and it was over and done with in 3 pages. So yeah, somewhat disappointed by that. Now overall this fight, I do think it was really fun, really great. I mean, I don't know, I just love these new turtles, using guns and just going against these new turtles, everything like that. Absolutely loved it. My biggest problem with it was just the fact that it was over so quick. I mean, 3 pages. I do feel as though that this little bit here could have been extended to maybe like 4 or 5 pages maybe, because this was a really great and interesting thing, and it sort of rushed it in a way. Now it also feels though that basically with every big like setup and stuff like that in terms of the oh my god moments, it's all like rushed in a way just because Leo, Shredder and Shibari comes down, and that's more or less when the turtles run away. Now I don't really have too much of a problem with this, but again, this sort of stuff has happened before in this series already. I mean, if you just look back at issue number 2, when we got to see these fake turtles about to assassinate Baxter Stockman, they just leave instead of doing anything. So I just feel as though that they do set up these really great, amazing things, and then just don't really do anything with them, and it's really annoying. But with this little bit here, I do hope they do go back to it one day and actually do a rematch, as I'm really looking forward to see what they could do here, as also there's a lot of potential to do really great, amazing fight scenes here. So then on the next page, we do get to see the Nova Posse and Magenta going to Sherelle. I can't say much more than that. It was okay. Again, more setup for stuff for next issue and stuff like that. Other than that, it was okay. And then for the final page, we do get to see Krang is all basically dead, but Metalhead comes back to life and basically electrocutes Krang back to life. And again, there's not really too much I can really say here. With this little bit here, I got a bit excited because I thought Metalhead could come back and could become like another main villain, stuff like something like that. But no, Krang's back, and yep, he's back again. Yay, woohoo! I don't know what to really say here. I mean, it's cool that Krang's back and all, but I don't really know what to really say here. He come back and I don't know, I feel as though that his character has been overused quite a bit now. And on the one hand, I'm really looking forward to see where they do take his character, because I'm interested to see what we could do with it, just because of the things that happened with Sherelle and Krang here. But at the same time, they've done so much with his character. Like what's next for his character really? But I must admit, overall, I do think that this issue was really great, and I do think there's a lot of really great things in this issue with the Turtles versus Turtles. I thought that's really amazing, but like all the other like scenes like this, they don't really go all the way through with it, which is somewhat disappointing. And I do think that all the other scenes in here were like pretty decent, and feels though that there probably should have been a lot more time spent with certain scenes, such as the Turtles in like working with DPF. I feel though there was like a lot of scenes in here that could have used like a little bit more time to actually develop and stuff like that. But other than that, I do think that this issue was really great, and I'm really interested to see where things go next. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today, guys. If you do like something, please share, like, subscribe, and all stuff. Goodbye, yo, bye.